Please, can I go up and get you first?
Yes, Linda.
No, Linda.
What?
Remember, I thought I was called.
All right. Anyway, looking up here at the board, guys. Let's go over to check my progress. That was my ugly face. Sorry, it just covers me. All right. Anyway,
Check myself
Do the
out.
horse injustice.
somebody come up here and draw a line from which word that you think you know. We have, first of all, we have fact family, variable, divisor, quotient, dividend, remainder, unknown. So come up here and draw one of them for me, Laura. Put your mask on. Put masks on.
What?
Put a mask on. Here we go.
Come
Come right up behind Laura. Come right up behind Laura, Ireland, and draw another one. Come right up behind. You can do it with your finger, guys. I'm going to just put it on the pen thing so you don't have to pick up the markers. Just draw on the board. Asher, come up here. You can go draw one. Asher Owens, you can come up here and do one.
Oh, I did one.
I want to know one.
We'll check them and see if they're right here. Hang on. We got a couple people stacked up. Asher Thompson. No, just use your finger. Just use your finger.
Bingo. Bingo boy.
It's always got to be different. I'm just kidding. All right, now Asher Owens.
You go some of them wrong, Gavin.
We're going to see if they're wrong or not. We'll just put the answers up here in red here in a second. Go ahead. Colton Johnson, come on. Colton Grubbs, come on up. You're the next contestant on. You get to draw a line with your finger on the board. All right, it looks like we have quotient left
Asher told
and
me that.
unknown left. Yes, sir. And then, of course, the last one is an easy one. The number that is left over. Ooh.
24.
Ooh. Well, if I know that the answer is going to be remainder because that's what's going to be left over. So it looks to me like if I show the answers here,
Oh,
looks like we got this one right, this one right. The result of the division problem is a quotient. That's the one right there that we should have drawn here instead of drawing it up here
That's a lot.
because the variable was the unknown quantity. And then he has a number left over as a remainder. There you go. Good. Third, you have a problem on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 of them.
4 of them. All right.
Come on, Jeff.
Jeff, it never gets old, does it? All right. There we go. There we go. All right, down at the bottom here. Tell me what I'm supposed to write. Right here. What's 54 divided by 9, Gavin? 6. So what times 9 equals 54, Gavin? 6. What about this one right here? You had to work yourself backwards. Blank divided by 9 equals 8. Mikey?
72.
72. And then Mikey, what times 8 or 8 times 9 equals?
72.
Those are easy. All right, next one. Divide. So we got to divide here. 95 divided by 5 equals what? So that means
19.
what is it?
19.
How do you know it was 19? Did you do the work on your page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it with my finger.
You did 95.
did that too. No, I did it.
Oh, you did 5, 10. You did that one. All right. So we say how many times is 5 going to 9?
I did it with words.
1 time. 1 times 5 is.
5.
Subtract that. You're going to get
4.
Bring down. 5 goes into 45 9 times. Remember, we're doing. I don't know if we're doing this for the people at home who are not with us. 96.
12.
96 divided by 8 is
12.
what?
12.
12 it is, because if you know your 12s, which Mikey and Asher have gone all the way through theirs, they know that 12 times 8 is indeed 96.
And me too.
And Mr.
Gross.
Grubbs.
And the bull.
Next page
Stop calling me a
is
bull.
gone. All right, moving on. This is pretty easy, but 2. What is it?
24.
As he said, yeah, this is
You said
24.
24.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to see that, that 24 times 2. This was not as easy here. Somebody tell me how to work this problem out, Emmeline.
You 7 will go into 8 one time.
Okay.
And then that 7 times 1 equals 7. That leaves you with 1. Carry your 1, make that an 11. Put a 1 on top of 7 will go into 11. And then 11 minus 7 is 4 remainder.
So 11 remainder 4. Right there, good job. Down at the bottom, we got to divide it mentally. Ethan, what is this one right here? 3,500 divided by 5.
Oh, I got 7.
Yeah, because this is 7, as he said, and there's how many zeros?
2.
700. Pretty easy. How about this one here? 420 divided by 60. Holly, what do you have? This one? What times 6 equals 42? Laura?
7.
7.
And
And
I get 2 zeros.
you can mark out these 2 zeros because, so you get your answer is 7. The answer is 7. When you divide, you mark out the zeros if they're on both sides. Remember, multiply, you're going to add them over there. But divide, you take them away and then what you have left over. We'll talk more about that today because I'm sure that's probably what you had yesterday.
That's what we did yesterday. So easy.
Suki received $87 for working 3 days. If she made the same amount each day, how did Suki earn each? How much did she earn, Ray?
29.
$29?
Yeah.
What problem did you do? What's the problem? So what's your, what is it, the division problem? What did you divide to get that?
3 divided by 87.
87 divided by 3. That's how you got that. A total of 180 students went on a field trip. There were 3 buses. If each had the same amount of students, how many students were on each bus? So what's my problem?
180 divided by 3.
Yes, sir. 180 divided by 3. And what's your answer?
60.
60. That's a lot of kids on a bus. 60.
64.
That's too many kids on a bus.
Yeah. How many kids are on seats?
That'd be 3 per seat, 20 seats. Mark is helping out with the school bake sale. He has 50 cookies to place in bags. He places 3 cookies in each bag. How many bags will he use, and how many are left over? Or as I like to call, how many am I going to eat? So what's my division problem?
50 divided by 3.
50 divided by 3. What was your answer?
My answer was 16 and the remainder 2.
16 with a remainder of 2 is correct. Yeah, 16 with a remainder of 2. And then finally, Mr. Johnson here, 300 miles in 5 hours. How far did it travel on average each hour? So you got 300 divided by 5. Well, hopefully you would see that 5 doesn't go into 3, but it will go into 30. And 5 times what equals 30? 6. So we know that the answer is going to have a 6 in it, so we can cross these guys here out. So which one's it going to be?
60.
60?
Quotient at 600.
60 miles on average each hour. That would be fast. That would be an airplane. This is a train. So can't do that. All right. Put that away, and now let's move into today's lesson, which is estimating quotients. Here we go. All right, estimating quotients. So today, as I've always said, I don't like estimating because I'd rather have an exact number. But sometimes if you're going to kind of estimate like, oh, there's 315 kids going on a field trip, and we have, 6 buses that are going to go, how many kids are going to be on each bus? So you kind of like get around that number. You're like, roughly we're going to need this many kids per bus. Emma.
I have a question. How did those people put up with that?
That many people on the bus?
Yes.
I don't know.
We only have 6 people on our bus.
6? Yeah. Wow. All right, so to estimate a quotient, remember the quotient is the what? The answer of a division problem, as Ireland Mashad says. You can use compatible numbers. I don't like compatible numbers. But we'll use numbers that work for us, all right? Or numbers that are easy to divide mentally. Look for numbers that are part of a fact family. All right, so let's look at the first one here. Cute dog, by the way. Cute dog. He's not going to get very full eating this fake stuff. All right, a dog's heart beats 365 times in 3 minutes. Wow. About how many times does a dog's heart beat in a minute? So,
A hot dog.
it's a dog. dog's heart beat in a minute. Hey. All right, here we go. So our problem is 365 divided by 3, Emma. Now, the key word here is, Mikey, it says about. Now, when they say about, that means we're going to do what? Estimate. All right? Estimate. So what we have to do is we got to find some numbers that work well together. Now, I look at 365. I'm like, okay, first of all, it ends in a 5. So I'm probably not going to use the 3. So what I want to do is I want to make all these numbers, this number right here, compatible with that guy right there. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, the problem is going to be divided by 3. Here's that part. So what do we want to change 365 to?
400.
Well, 3 doesn't really go into 4, right? So that's going to be a tough number to work with.
And 370.
Okay, so does 3 go into 37?
No.
No. Does 3 go into 36?
Yeah.
3 times, yeah. So I'm going to use a 36 here. I'm going to use 360 right there. Because that is easy to work with. So how many times, Ireland, will 3 go into 36? 3 times what equals 36? That's a fact.
12.
Mikey, what do you say? 12. So your 12 is going to be right here. Now, there's no zeros marked here, right? So you'll have 1 0. So this is where you go ahead and put your 1 0 in there. Okay, so a dog's heart beats roughly 120 times a minute in 1 minute. Now, again, you want to make sure that you guys find numbers that work well. That's what compatible numbers really are numbers that work well together. Okay, I could have done this as a 5, but it's a little harder looking at this. I know 5 goes into this because of the 5 or the 0 here, but that's going to be hard to do those. So I'm going to change that to a 360 to give you that. So let's move on to the next problem here that is posed to us. You can use rounding and you can use compatible numbers. So let's look at it. Casey, we're on page 180. What is that? 184. You're going to round the dividend to the nearest 100. So we're going to round this guy right here, the dividend, to the nearest 100. So what is 208 closest to? Is it closer to 300 or is it closer to 200?
200.
Okay? When I say round to the nearest 100, that's what it's asking. Is it closer to 200 or is it closer to 300? Well, obviously 208, so it's going to be 200. This is using compatible numbers. Will 8 go into 20 evenly?
No.
So we don't want to use the 8. So we're going to change the 8 to something that will go into 20. What will go into 20? 10 will, right? So let's change that to a 10. So this is 200, and that's 10. Now can we do the problem fairly easy? How many times will 10 go into 20? 2 times. How many zeros are left over? 1. See, we already used this one here, and we used that one, so there's only 1 left over. So our answer is going to be 20. So 208 divided by 8 is about 20. Obviously, it's a little bit more than that because 20 times 8 is 160, but we're just estimating. We're just using compatible numbers here. Okay, let's go ahead and look down here at the guided practice. Hopefully you're following along with me and not thinking of something. So 850 divided by 9. Okay, so let's round this or use compatible. I don't care which one you use, but we're going to find something. Let's look at the 9 first of all. Can we find this number here? Can we change that number to something that 9 will go into? Holly? What is it?
900.
Yeah, if you round up to 900, right?
And it also says 200.
Oh, it says right here. Yeah, I didn't even see that right there. I didn't read ahead like you did. You're good. So we're changing this to 900. Now will 9 go into 9? How many times? One time. How many zeros are over here?
2.
So it's about 100, right? About 100. It's obviously not going to be exact, but again, we're just. So it says do it mentally. So again, this is about 100. Right there. This is going to take you guys a little time to see these numbers. If you know your multiplication facts, parents, they don't. But if you know your multiplication facts, this will be easy because you'll know, oh yeah, 9 will go into 90. Some of you look at that and say 9. I don't know what 9 goes into. It goes into 86. I don't know. But if you know your facts, this is going to be really easy for you. And that's why I've been saying all this time, I've been harping about, you got to know your facts. You got to know your facts. And then you all look at me like, he's crazy. No, I don't. But you do. So, 635 divided by 8. So it looks to me like they want us to round this number here to something to make it easier to work with. Emily.
6:30.
630. How many agree 630? Will 8 go into 63? You're close. I'm not letting you off the hook yet. 8 will go into what? Not 63. Yeah, let's go ahead and go 640. Let's go 640. So, Emily, how many times will 8 go into 64? 8 times. How many zeros are there? So 80 is our number, right? It's about 80. All right. I think it says it wants us to check here, but 80 times 8 is 640. It's pretty close. How about this next one? Looks like they're going to want us to change this also. So what are we going to change? You got to think, well, 5, I know 5 doesn't go into 54. 9 times 5 is 45. 10 times 5 is 50. 11 times 5 is 55. So it's not those. Colton?
It has to be 50.
Huh?
It has to be 50.
It could be 50, but there's one closer to that.
55.
55, right? So we're going to say 55 and a 0. 550, right? 550.
Yeah.
Because I know that 5 will go into 55 how many times?
11.
And then how many zeros?
1.
See, Colton, if you would have done 50, you would have had 500 divided by 5. Which you're not wrong, but your answer would have been 100, which would have been a little bit more off. This one's a little closer. It's a little closer. You want to estimate, but you don't want to be completely off. You know what I mean? You want to
Don't want it to.
I don't want to round this to 1,000 and say, close enough. You know.
1,000 and 5 don't go together.
Yeah. How about this one right here? 431. You got to look at that and say 2 goes into, it doesn't go into 43, but 2 will go into what, Ray?
400.
It will go into 400. It will. But is there a closer number we can deal with? We can do 420 if you want to do 420. I mean, I would have gone 440, but
That's what I said.
well, they said 420.
What's it called 40?
Oh, never mind. That's the amazing thing about the math. We can't hear anything. So how many times will 2 go into 44?
Don't you know that?
How many, Ray? Anybody? 2.
22.
22, yeah. How many zeros are there? So 220 is our closest bet. If I had done 400, we would have gotten 200, and it was not as close. How about this one right here? What are we going to round this to? Spill your water again. Asher.
360.
Asher says he's going to round this one to 360. I don't disagree. So Asher, how many times will 9 go into 36?
4.
And then how many zeros?
1.
So we're pretty close. We're pretty close. I don't hate it. Number 6, Gavin. I'll look at it and say, well, 4 doesn't go into 3, and it doesn't really go into 39 evenly, but it will go into what evenly? Goes into 500? Nope. What can we round this up to? What? Think about it. Asher? Yeah, 400. That's what I do, Gavin. See, this looks pretty close to 400. And I know that 4 goes into 4 how many times? 1 time. How many zeros are there? So we got 100. Pretty close. And then lastly, Mikey.
Yes. Yes.
6 or 7 and 66. I know that doesn't go, because I know what 9 times 7 is what? 60. Come on, mister, I know these.
Come on, Victor.
63, okay. So 9 times 7, 10 times 7 is 70. So what are we going to change that to? Let's get closer than 600, because I know 9 doesn't go in, or 7 doesn't go into 60. I kind of gave you a hint just now.
70.
You can do 70. You could, but that's going to be a little bit off. We get even closer than that, I believe. Just by a little smidge. Ireland?
700.
That's what he just said, 700. I mean, technically. He said this could go to 70. You can do that. We'll do that. So what? How many times does 7 go into 7?
1.
How many zeros?
2 zeros.
I was thinking, does anybody else have a different one before I tell you? Laura, go ahead.
I was thinking 600 or 65.
Huh?
I was either thinking 600 or 65.
How about this? 630. How many times does 7 go into 63?
9.
How many zeros?
1.
So see, it's a little closer. Like this one's estimated higher. This one's a little bit lower. Right in the middle is probably about 95 would be right around your answer or so. Somewhere close in there, I guess. Let's see. Wow, they give you so many problems. I wish the homework was like this. All right, so what do we want to do with this one here? Stay with me, guys. We got a few more to go.
I'm with you.
9. Oh, I know how I would do this one. Let's see if you guys can figure this out. We're going to use compatible numbers this time, not rounding.
Which one are we on?
8. Holly, go ahead.
I put 270 divided.
Okay. 270 divided by 9. I like it. All right. So what did you come up with an answer?
Oh. Well, 27 divided by 9 is 30. Then you add the extra 0.
30. Okay. But because Holly, I think she knows her multiplication facts. I would have said also 300 divided by 10. Those are compatible, right? And you're still going to get the answers 30 the same way she did.
We got 48. We got a 48 one coming up.
Oh, thank you. I'll have Mr. Johnson do that one. All right. All right. Mr. Johnson. That'll work. All right. So what do we want to do with these numbers here? Come on, man. Let's say 500. 9 doesn't really go into 50, though. Let's see if we did the 50, the 500, the 50. 9 doesn't go in that A equally. So 9 times what? 9 times 6 is 54. It's too much. 9 times 5 is 45. Let's use that one. How about that? 40. How about like that, right? And so how many times will 9 go into 45? And how many zeros are there? So we got 50. Pretty close, right? We'll take it. Oh, Emma. What are we going to do this one? What are we going to do this one, Emma? We have 7 and we have 23. We're going to come up with something. Phew. What is it going to be? I know the route I would go, but I'll see if you come up with it. Do what?
300?
Well, I got to think. Will 7 go into 30? No, I don't want to do that one. So I would think.
200.
What is it?
200?
Well, then I would say, okay, I'm going to do it down here, I guess. 200. Does 7 go into 20? 7 doesn't really go into 20, but it goes pretty close to something else. What's 7 times 3? So let's do 210. So we're not going to use those. So how many times does 7 go into 21?
3.
3 times.
Wow.
Mikey? And there's 1 0. 30. All right? Again, for one time, you guys are trying to find a path of least resistance. You're trying to find the easiest path. You guys are always doing that anyway in class. Right now, I'm giving you permission to find the easiest numbers to use here. So I'm not asking you guys to come up with hard numbers. How about this one? We have 63 and 7. Do we need to change it, or how are we going to change it, I should say? Emily.
You could do 630 and that would leave you 90.
630, she says. Why did you do 630 for?
Because 63 will go into 7 times.
7 will go into 63 9 times. How many zeros?
1.
Emmeline's got this. She must have been practicing on it last night. Did you practice?
I'm doing good.
All right. 350 divided by 8. Mr. Grubb. We have 35 and we have 8. What are we going to change them to?
Change the 35 to 32.
All right. So 320 divided by 8, is that what you're doing?
Yep.
So how many times will 8 go into 32?
4 and then 1 0.
You are a stud. All right. 584 divided by 6. So again, we got 58 and 6. 58 and 6, Miss Ireland.
You can change it to 600.
I would do that. I'd say 600 probably. Divided by 6. And what are you going to get, Ireland? 100. Yeah. So those of you out there in YouTube land, which I know you all when you're absent, I know you guys watch these. You better.
I don't.
I don't watch
And I know, right, the day before the test, you guys are watching these videos again, and you're taking it all in. You're making sure you know how to do this. I know you are.
You can think
that.
Just make me think that so I'm not wasting my time recording all these every time. However, find the easy. Remember what I've done on every one of these, if you've noticed. I've underlined the first 2 numbers in this one, and I'm just changing these to make them easier to work with. Instead of saying 58, Ireland says, okay, make that a 60 or a 600, because she knows 6 goes into 60. You're making numbers easier to work with. Let's look at the last bit here. It's not COVID, it's just me coughing. Tourette's. These problems here are just going to be more of the same that we just did. You just take the numbers, 385, and you divide it by the number here, which is 8, and you got to find compatible numbers to work with on those. All right, so that's why we're not going to do these. You're going to move on into the homework section of this. So you can put that to the side. Remember, you guys right here, if you ever have any vocab, remember sometimes it'll be not there, right here. I don't think there's any vocab on the homework today, but remember, it's usually they'll put it right there, those yellow vocab things, but just keep that in mind. Before I hand out your homework, you have 6 on this side. When I would get it, as soon as I get my homework, I'd go through here and I'd say, okay, 2, 79 and 2, 15 and 3. Ooh, that one I can leave. This one.
That one there is easy.
That way I know that I'm changing these 2 to figure these out. And then back side here seems fairly cut and dry. You just do some more division here. Division. I'm just trying to see if there's anything here. So let me think on this one here. You might have to actually look at and maybe add up a few of them first as you guys go along.
Wow.
Anybody have any questions for I?
Give me a report of the partner.
You guys are only getting 9 minutes because at 2 o'clock we got to go down to Miss Solari's room to do our science.
9 minutes.
You got about 9 minutes is all you're going to have on this. So,
Look at that.
does somebody want to hand out the math, which is back? I guess it's on my table back there.
Why are we going to